One time I took an edible. I made them myself, so obviously I dosed them way too high. I wasn't measuring shit. I just threw a bunch of keef in, like firecrackers, where you put like peanut butter and Ritz crackers or whatever the fuck and cook the weed into the peanut butter. Like we were eating those things all the time. Well, I made my own batch this one specific time, and I guess I didn't scale anything, so I put a shitload of keef in them, and I didn't think they were doing anything to me because I had taken them over to my friend's house and I took a bunch of them and they weren't doing shit. So classic edible experience, like, oh man, I ate all these edibles and they're doing nothing. Let's take more instead of waiting a little while longer. Yeah, mistake. Always a mistake. I had the worst panic attack of my life and I convinced myself that I had left the oven on and burned down the house. My neighbors also had like a newborn baby and it was an attached house. It was a town like government housing at the time. I was convinced I had burned down my house and burned down theirs and like wiped out that family. I was absolutely beside myself. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous and like hilarious, and it kind of is, because obviously it wasn't true. It didn't happen. But when you're in one of those states, like mental states of like tripping on any of these things, like edibles, shrooms, acid, and you're having these horrible negative thoughts, and you're in a thought loop, and you're convinced of something, like genuinely convinced, it's terrifying. Now, obviously, I gave the remainder of this batch away. I wasn't going to take them. I was on one of my little hiatuses, which didn't last very long. So I gave them to this guy I knew who worked at the mall, and he had like the weirdest job I've ever heard. He was a university student, a guy, and he worked at Forever 21. Loser. Like that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. So I gave them to him, and apparently he just like had a freak out at the mall at his job, which is, I mean, my bad, but that's hilarious to think of him just losing his shit in front of a bunch of little kids and moms. I obviously continued to make these firecrackers at my house and just thought, man, I've made those way too strong. Let's make them lighter and have a fun time. Well, I think my next batch or the one after that or whatever, I did the same thing. I made them way too strong and I took it, and me and my friends were getting ready for the bar and they were downstairs in this house we had at the time, and I went upstairs to shower, and I was sitting in the bathroom, I'm showering or whatever. Well, this thing hit me like a truck. Like usually it's kind of like a come up, not this one. This one hit me like a truck, and I'm showering, thinking maybe we'll meet some ladies tonight, got to get fresh, right? So I'm washing my balls, and for some reason, I thought that I felt a lump. I didn't, but I convinced myself I did. And then I was too scared. I was genuinely so high and too scared to recheck that I just fell into like a full on panic attack, heart pounding through my chest, pale as a ghost, nauseous, like just crazy, right? Like, what a horrible mental state to be in. Like, I was just like, I got a lump on my balls. Like, I have cancer. Like, that, I genuinely was just immediately in the mindset that I was going to die. It's so crazy because it's like, why would I just keep taking these when this was my experience? But, anyways, I did. Well, since I was panicking like so intensely from this thought, and this is all in the span of like 10 minutes. I mean, this thing hits me like a truck. I'm in the shower. I think I feel a lump. I'm just immediately convinced I'm dying. Panic sets in, nauseous, lightheaded, dizzy, white, calling my friend on the phone who's literally downstairs being like, bro, I think I'm going to pass out. Like, I could barely form a sentence. And obviously, I don't know if you guys do this, but where I'm from, like, we use the term pass out as like going to sleep. And he was like, dude, it's like 7:30. We're going to the bars. Are you sure? And I was like, man, I'm going to pass out. I just kept saying that. It's like the only thing I could say. And he was like, all right, dude. Well, I just like stumbled from the bathroom to my room. Thank God I made it fully naked, left all my clothes in the bathroom, left the shower running, KO'd on my bed, and slept for 18 hours. Horrible. Like, horrible time. Could have had a sweet night, but instead I decided, you know what, I'm dying. I'm going to have a panic attack and pass out. Now, the kicker was that 500 milligram edible. Finally, a few years after this whole firecracker craze, I took another one. It was on a road trip with my friends, the same friends I lived with in that house. Weed wasn't legal at the time, so my buddy just bought it off some sketchy ass website and it got shipped in from BC. I had to take it at face value. It was like a chocolate chip cookie that said 500 milligrams. Well, I took this thing and it like destroyed me. It kicked my ass. It wasn't very long after I took it that I kind of felt like, man, I'm already getting to the point where I'm like a little too high here. Well, I didn't even know that I hadn't fully ascended. I was barely off the ground. I mean, this thing took me to levels I thought weren't even possible on weed. Like, I thought it only happened with like real hallucinogens. like it wasn't very long, maybe a couple hours after I took it, where I was fully having auditory hallucinations, and it like ramped up. At the beginning, it just kind of sounded like a buzzing in my ears, like ringing. And I thought it was because I was obviously at this point I was already panicking. Classic me on an edible, gonna have a panic attack. Pretty much every time I took an edible, it was just like guaranteed panic attack. So I'm in the middle of that, and it's felt like I had tinnitus. Like it genuinely was just like a buzzing in my ears. I was able to recognize, it's nothing in the car. None of my friends hear this. It's in my head. Well, a little while after that, it turned into like whispers, like incoherent whispers, not real words. I knew nobody in the car was messing with me. It was very evident to me that it was in my head. It sounded like it was creepy, man, like really, really scary, like horror movie level shit. And I was already panicking. Well, this took it to a whole nother level because I thought I had gone completely insane. Like I was like, man, is this what like frying your brain is like? Like, have I fucked myself past, repair? Am I gonna be hearing shit forever? Well, these thoughts like escalated because it went from whispering to just hearing my name, like fully coherent this time. Sam, Sam, Sam. Like it was just like literally like that for hours. And that was one of the hardest experiences of my life. And I know that sounds crazy, but I was trapped in a car on a road trip with my friends, trying to like save face and not like freak out too much in front of them because I really didn't want to melt down. Uh, I kind of melted down in front of them, but man, if I was alone, I think it would have been like I understand these people that are calling the ambulance. I might have been one of those people. Like this thing, I would have went to my bathroom, lied in the fetal position, and cried for my mom. This thing had me shook, man. I mean, this thing had me dazed. I was like an NPC. At one point, we went to a rest stop along the way so I could take a piss, and I went into the washroom, and to my knowledge, like I'm the only person in here. Now, I don't know how much time passed or what happened, but it basically felt like I blinked. That was it. Like I just blinked one time, and then all of a sudden, I clued into the fact that all the urinals to my left were filled. There was a line forming behind me, and people were looking at me like I was a tweaker. I had just been standing at this thing with my arms at my side doing nothing for God knows how long. Like I was fully out of it. It was like a momentary blackout. It was the craziest shit. I immediately panicked. I just blurted out a noise like, and just ran out of the washroom. I just blitzed behind the rest stop and took a piss in the rain outside. This thing had me tweaking. Not to mention that this thing like completely depersonalized me. I mean, I was confused about everything. I felt disconnected from like my friends in my life for a while. The next morning when I woke up, I mean, I was still high as fuck and still very depersonalized, which of course just triggered a brand new panic attack. Great way to start the day. Just immediately in a full on panic, heart racing, like 8 a.m. in the morning. It's pretty fun. It's a great time. That's why I do not recommend the edibles. I mean, this thing had me messed up for days. That depersonalized feeling lasted like a week, maybe a week and a bit. It faded eventually. It wasn't like too bad, but goddamn, man. After that one, I just never wanted to mess with them again. These stories might make it sound like a little fun, and it does sound funny and hilarious because they are, but that's only because it ended. Like, to me in the moment, it felt like I was stuck in this forever. It was going to be the rest of my life, and that's why I always panic. So, smoking weed is just like so much better for me. Like, not health wise, I just mean like mental. Like, I have the mental fortitude to deal with smoking, but not eating it. I just can't do it. I won't do it. I'm done with it. Goodbye.